Hello, aloha, and welcome to the Raise Voice series, Your Take. Today I'm here with Kevin Peter, and we're going to be doing racism and society's pressures. So Kevin, would you like to tell me a bit about yourself and what you do?
So my name is Kevin. I'm 17 years old and I go to Kegs in Chelmsford. Racism, like society's pressures, is a topic that I'm very keen to talk about. I think it's one that's heavily dominant in today's society and of people our age especially.
I agree. I also think it's quite a heavy topic, but it's something that can be talked about on a wider scale and has a lot of depth to it. So we're going to go into the first sort of discussion. So let's discuss sort of racial stereotyping, because or if you're Asian you're this, if you're black you're that, all this different types of stuff. Kevin, how would you think young people should deal with sort of stereotyping? If they're being stereotyped in class or something, what do you do? Do you go to a teacher or what sort of situation?
I think we need to combat these kind of stereotypes at the first point, which I'd say is just raising awareness. Everything for people our age, everything's revolving around social media and our phones and things. And I think that is the area where we can start to combat all these stereotypes and all these the racial hate that it just goes on, even if it's subtle. Sometimes it still has an effect on people. And I think the way we raise awareness, we have social media, we have things like Instagram and Snapchat, and those are so helpful tools, but we're not utilizing them properly. For example, I think when we raise awareness, things like reposting posts on your story, while that helps and it shows that you're in support of the fight that's going on, it doesn't fully capture what we're trying to do here. For example, if someone was to post something on their story and every single person reposts the same thing, you're not going to read it every single time. It's good to show our solidarity, but to raise awareness we need to change up the methods. Be original. If you're passionate about something, talk about it properly. Don't just follow the crowd. And that's why we see trends emerging where things that aren't things that we need to raise awareness about that aren't trending, they don't get as much coverage on social media for people our age as much as they should.
That's a big shout as well, because with being an activist and stuff, I think that's a really good way to sort of get involved, where you're actually activism in a case where you're going to protest and stuff, but you're really passionate about a cause and you want to do everything to sort of stop something from happening. So that's why I really I respect activists and what they do. And I also think in terms of platforms, probably they don't do enough. I feel people you can repost stuff, but in terms of even just in the comments of say a certain post or whatever, and you just see racist comments and stuff, where's the platform's accountability for that? It's instead of social media.
Yeah, definitely.
And it just happens as much social media as it does, or not, maybe even more than it does in real life in
100%.
some areas. It's just the issue, because who's being held accountable for this sort of behaviour?
Yeah.
And to go into society's pressures a bit, I remember because you texted me your society's pressures, and I never really thought about it. I was it's actually a really good topic to delve into. So how the pressure of society in different areas impacted you personally? So
I think on a on a personal level, as a teenager, between GCSEs and A levels, there's a lot of pressure from schools, from family, from friends. You're always expected to live up to an expectation, and in reality it's more of, it should be what you want with your life. It shouldn't be you conforming to what everyone else wants. There's nothing wrong with being original. I think that for me personally, I've always had pressure on me to do well in exams and do well in exams, because the school I go to so competitive. You always want to be up there with the top people, and there's pressure from family to get the grades and go to a good uni, go to a good sixth form. Especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, where exam results were so uncertain. We didn't know what we were gonna get. We didn't know how that would impact our future. You get what I'm trying to say? So I think that's it really. For people our age, it's really about how we do and how we set the foundation for our future. Many people have many different plans for their future and what they want to be when they're older, and you shouldn't just conform to what society wants you to be.
I hear that. And I think it's not about especially when sort of people expect you to sort of, you know, just know what you want to do or be like some certain thing at like a very young age, at like 16.
Yeah,
like,
100%,
like
yeah.
you have to go right into uni, you have to do this course, you have to be this, or after you do that course, and it's sort of like it limits you mentally. You haven't got to just conform to what your parents are saying or what your family is saying or what your friends are. You can just go on your own path. You can do something in uni and then maybe do something completely different after uni. You know, it's not all about just having that set 10-year plan, like a 5-year plan, and getting to the end of it and feeling like, you know, sort of a bit empty. I think, you know, I think a really good point there is that it's more about the journey, not about the destination. So
Yeah, 100%,
you always think
yeah.
about getting the grades, and stuff, but really make sure to you enjoy your time at sixth form, enjoy your time at secondary school. Make sure you're not just clouded by, I need to do this to get that sort of, you know, reach that sort of milestone.
Like tough times never last. Like it's always the tough people that last. Like that is like one saying you gotta remember all the time.
Yeah, I love that saying. Now, but to top it all off, do you think that enough's done to combat racial discrimination, just in general?
I think.
In terms of.
Sorry, yeah, I think like what I was saying earlier about like raising awareness, that needs to like sort itself out, and it's like even like big time, like it's always like the small little comments that people make that would develop into one big problem. Like we just seen today, Derek Chauvin, the policeman who killed George Floyd, like he was sentenced to what, I think 22 years in prison. That's like the longest sentence for like any policeman, I think. And to be honest, like that's like a big event, but at the same time it's just like the casual racism, like the casual stereotypes that kind of just like need to be cut out. When like we see with footballers, like there's a big like program called Kick It Out, and we see for example when Man United lost that final against Villarreal, we saw like racial hatred toward like Rashford, and it happens to players across the UK, and it happens to like even like the next person, like anyone, like I've like received, like been subject to like racial stereotypes. I'm sure many people who are watching this have as well. I think ultimately it's just education, really. Like, the root of the problem is kind of like upbringing, and like it's not really a joke as well. Like maybe like you may say something like slightly racist as a joke, but it's never really a joke, because people are like affected by the things you say. You may not notice it. Like you may smile and laugh, but deep down like you're hurting when someone says something subject to your race. Like it's never really something that you want to hear.
And I think in terms of, that's a really good point, because obviously, especially in our area, like around where we go to school and stuff, it's just heavily normalised, like just being sort of, oh yeah, it's just a joke, it's just a joke or whatever.
Yeah.
When in reality it's just not, and it's just offensive. And I think in terms of, especially in school, as well as like in terms of like you said, like with you know, I remember Twanzebe got racial abuse, Marcus Rashford got racial abuse, Martial last season as well, racial abuse in the comments, monkey emojis, etc. I think that links back to the point as well, where a lot of the social media platforms aren't being held accountable. But in terms of, I think, you know, what you can do if you're watching right now, I think it's in terms of a case. I mean, it's in a case where maybe at school. I think at schools, there's certain schools where it's just like there's just so much, and it's just like under the radar. And I feel like especially just get your teachers on it, like in terms of sort of just create like a stable environment where racial discrimination doesn't happen.
Yeah, so like yeah, in my school this week we actually had Equalities Week, and they set up an Equalities Committee recently to combat like all the stereotypes that we have in our school and like, in our surrounding. So like I'm actually a member of the Equalities Committee, and like so I was giving out assemblies to year 7s this week, teaching them about kindness, and like because year 7s are like, still like they're the most tender age of the whole secondary school, so by educating them on how to like be kind above everything, it's just it targets like the first point of where like you kind of like get instilled into that like that normalization of racism. Like we want to stop that straight away, so that's like so every single year in the school we like had like assemblies and like workshops and everything throughout the week, and like it shows that schools are starting to do something about it.
Yeah, and I think when you change the year 7 mentality, it sort of changes the whole culture of the school and the culture of how people use sort of racial slurs against people. And you know, again, the next change, get in primary schools as well, so that even at an even younger age, you're not held to it. And I think that's a very important thing. And I think just get if your school hasn't got an equality society, make one. You know, do fundraisers, make a difference.
100%. Yeah, like we're seeing like cultural awareness, like that is a big thing in this day and age. In a society where we strive for equality, but everyone's so different, and we just need to make sure that we don't overstep it at sometimes. Like sometimes like it's too forced, but at the same time we kind of just need to like instill it in the young generation that it's never right. And if you look at the way my school's working out, if we target the year 7s and the year 8s to just completely like never to think that way, then by the time they're in year 13 and we've got the current year 7, the future year 7 and year 8s thinking in the same way, that would have like a whole school where racial stereotypes and like racial like agendas, they're out, they've been shut out of the schools. And the same thing goes to teachers. Like my head teacher's been setting up equalities training on inset days for all the teachers as well. So I can say that I'm happy that my school is starting to like make an impact and like trying to just completely like just kick it out, really.
Making a difference in schools. And the next stage is social media. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, Kevin, this has been good.
Thank you for having me.
Racism, a very, very good chat, very good chat. And if you want to go on your take yourself, we're always opening DMs, just leave a DM open, we want you on, you know, it's okay. And trust me, we don't bite. And yeah, that's been all. Kevin, it's been good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.